Welcome to In Their 20s, a podcast for people in their 20s. Today we spoke with Tasha Robinson-White, who is a public relations and communications guru. Tasha is most known for helping build the career of Floyd Mayweather Jr., the boxing legend. Tasha was Floyd's personal assistant turned founding president of the Mayweather Foundation. So let's jump in with Tasha to hear about her personal advice for people in their 20s. Tasha, thank you so much for joining the In Their 20s podcast. We can go ahead and get started. I would just love for you to introduce yourself to the audience. Who is Tasha Robinson-White?
So Tasha Robinson-White is just the girl next door, to be honest with you. I have worked with some very influential and amazing, iconic people in my life. I've contributed to helping them build their careers. But more so, I'm just really a down-to-earth girl. Like, I am the president and CEO of Vanguardian Global, which is I guess you can say, a springboard for, to me, the next generation. So what that means is with Vanguardian Global, and then the preface of Vanguard means the forefront of action. So I basically align myself with anyone that's in the forefront of action and movement, because that's what I'm all about. My superpowers are collaboration, connection, and creativity. So I'm well connected. I know how to collaborate with people. I am very connected and love creating the next level, whatever that might be. So I'm definitely a risk taker. I'm a mother of two. I'm a wife of 25 years. Can you believe it? I know I look super young.
Yeah.
I got married when I was 3. But I also am a mentor. So I mentor several younger adults. And my goal at this point in my life is to just really to pour in to them what was poured into me, and hopefully also learn from them. I don't want to just teach the younger generation. I want to learn from the younger generation. And I know a lot of people in my peer group may say, well, we want to pour into the next generation so they don't mess it up. Well, and I'm an advocate of saying, I've been your age and you've never been mine. Well, that's because my dad's dad and my dad told me that growing up. But when I say that to the younger generation, I have to stop myself from saying those things, because I've never been their age in today's world. So there's so much that I can still learn from them. And so I had to change my language a little bit with that. But yeah, I'm just really a girl from around the way that has a lot to offer, that is truly guided by energy and great spirit. And that's just it. I mean, I don't really have a list of, I have a resume, but
Of course. Well, Tasha, there's a lot there that I really want to discuss. Thinking about how you really made an emphasis to say, you're all about action. I mean, we love to see that. A lot of people have ideas of, doing things, but it really takes a lot of guts to put those ideas into an actual plan that you can
Right.
execute on. So execution is everything. And I love how you also focus on the importance of mentorship. It seems that you love to give back, but then also most importantly, your network as well. I know this is a line that gets thrown around a lot, but your network is your net worth. I really believe that to be true. When you hear a line like that, what does that mean to you?
Well, I actually use that line as well. And what that means to me is, you know, you become a product of your environment. So a lot of times, you hear people from maybe negative environments, and they blame that on their success or their unsuccess, right? So to me, if you can control your environment and control what you're allowing in your space, that's where you can get value out of it, right? So my husband always talks about being a product of the 5 people that you hang around. If you're the smartest person in the room, you need to get in a new room. I believe all that is true, because what you want to be learning every day. If you're not learning, you're not living, right? I really feel that it's really important that the network of people that you have around you, you're able to pour into them and they're able to pour back into you. And that's where the value comes in. It's not monetary. It's never monetary. It's really, what I'm saying, happiness. That's what success really is. It's just happiness. And if you're learning, you're living. And if you're teaching, you're pouring into someone else to continue their lifespan as well. So I really believe that being in a well-versed network of people does allow you to have some value, but it's what you do with that. You know what I'm saying? You can sit around a whole bunch of broke people and you'll just be another broke person, or you could sit
Mhm.
around, you could be a broke person sitting around a whole bunch of rich people and you'll figure it out. You know what I'm saying? So,
Totally.
and it's not necessarily even on the monetary side, just knowledge. If you're reading books, you could have no friends, but if you know how to read a book, you know what I'm saying? That's your network right there. You got to just take it, be creative with it. That's all.
Of course. No, I think like we see that a lot of times where you have the tools, but you don't always know how to build the house. I mean, you could have the tools in
Exactly.
front of you, but you really need to put those tools to work. And
Right.
those tools can be found through your network. And as you mentioned earlier, you have had an opportunity to work with some very influential people. One of those, of course, Floyd Mayweather Jr. You
Mhm.
were the former assistant turned president of the Mayweather Foundation. I think that is just so neat. And I'd love to hear about your experience working with Floyd along with what you learned while on that journey.
Well, actually, I was a founding president of the Floyd Mayweather Foundation. So I actually started the foundation. I worked with Floyd for almost 12 years, pretty much at the infant stages of most of his business entities, from his record labels to his foundation, to his entertainment company, etc. So I was involved with a lot of what he was doing outside of the ring versus what he was doing. No one can outbox him. I can't teach him a thing in the ring, but I can help align and contribute to what he wanted to do outside of the boxing ring. As Dancing with the Stars, WWE. I was on that platform with him during those times. Of course, I traveled with the boxing. I'm a fan and a friend, and a colleague. So all that. I learned a lot from him. But with Floyd and I, we grew together. He said he wanted to be the top of his game in business and of the sport of boxing and entertainment. I wanted to be, at the top of my game in the entertainment business, from the PR perspective to collaborating and connecting with the top notch in the industries that I was involved in as well. So we got together and we said, let's build this thing up. You do this, you do this. Tasha, I need to be known in everyone's living room. I want to be known more than just in the boxing arena in sports. I want to be known all throughout entertainment. I want to be a global name. And it was up to me to put my creative hat on and try to connect him and build brands around that to make that happen. And successfully we did.
Very successfully would be better. Looking at
Okay.
what you were able to build with Floyd is really, really remarkable and incredible because he is that household name that everybody recognizes now.
Yeah, he
Know
is.
that you were a part of that is really beautiful. And of course, while we're in these positions, while we are making these experiences, we're always thinking about, what is next, and how we
Mhm.
can pivot, with the experience that we've gained in this one position, how we can pivot to do something else. So now looking at your time post, the Floyd Mayweather era, when you're looking to further build your brand, further work with other companies, what were some of the things that you were really interested in getting involved in, and were you able to make those things happen?
Yes. So upon me departing from the Mayweather camp, I always knew that I was going to build my own company and my own brand. As I was helping him build his brand, of course, he's the boss. So there were things that he wanted to implement that I may not have implemented in my own brand.
Mhm.
But being around a culture, I know there were certain things that you needed to build within your company, and that's a culture. Um, that's something that represents you, and you want to, I guess you can say, for me, I wanted to plan ahead. Like, it was hot now with Floyd, you know what I'm saying? It was what was going on right then and there, and for me, I had to set myself apart to plan my next move, but when I was working for him, I needed to be 100% there. But as I was building there, I was connecting with various people, thinking about different ways how I'm going to make my million. I know how he's going to make his million, but how am I going to make mine? I know how he made his mark on the world, but how am I going to make my mark on the world?
Of
I
course.
want people saying Tasha. And so I always say, and people tell me, they always correct me. I was like, I wish I had branded myself a little bit more when I was working with Floyd. But it wasn't my time. It was no room for branding Tasha when we were branding Mayweather. You know what I'm
Of
saying?
course.
So when I was able to step away, I'm able to brand myself. So I started to think of things that I like to do. First of all, before working with Floyd, I worked with a lot of other influential people that poured into me as far as knowledge and connections, etc. So I was able to turn a lot of those relationships and resources and connect them with Floyd as we were building his brand, but they still remain my relationships.
Mhm.
So now I need to call in the favors again and help build my own company, my own boutique, my own Vanguardian Global. What I realized is I started to go on this journey of what makes me great. No, I'm not a boxer, but what is it about me that makes me different? And I realized that I'm very creative, I'm very connected, and I know how to collaborate. I know how to bring two entities together. And I still didn't really know what that meant. You know what I'm saying? What is that going to mean for me in the future? I need to be able to do something, show something. And I realized that that is what it is. It is what it is. I know how to connect people. I could see vision um, and plans before they even exist. I can bring two entities together and make magic like no other. You know what I'm saying? And I just had to believe in myself. And I also often reflect back on Floyd, like how he believed in himself. He
Mhm.
knew from day one, Tasha, I'm going to be this guy. And I mean, he would profess and profound and say things. And I'd be like, yeah, okay, I believe you. Yeah, yeah. You want to believe him and not knock him down, but he believed everything that he said and he made it happen. And I mean, when I look back at that, I say, well, wow, you know what? He believed in himself so much. And that was my biggest takeaway from him. If you can believe in himself, I definitely can believe in myself. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Um, whatever I want to do. So there were a lot of I guess transitions and lessons and but it took a little bit of time to reflect on that. You don't always get it right when you're in the moment. Sometimes you have to take a little break away and say, okay, this is why it's coming together like this. And so a lot of unsureties became, more clear when I was looking and focusing on Tasha and Tasha as a brand versus anyone else.
Of course. And clearly, you recognize the importance of building your brand. I mean, you do so well with it now. There were times when you felt like you weren't building your brand enough that you really, regret and wish that you could have built more. So, thinking now, advice for 20 somethings currently, maybe they are working at another company and they probably don't think it's appropriate for them to completely build their brand while they're working at these companies because they don't want to serve as a distraction. In 2021, a 20-year-old now, either on their own or working for another company, how would you advise for them to build their brand?
Be the CEO of your name. Be the CEO of who you are. See, for me, I have a coach. I have a brand coach, Yolanda Smith. She's awesome. By the way, I have to shoot her out, but give her a shout out there. But Yolanda, she taught me the power of a brand. You know, when you walk into a room, you are your brand. You are the first. They don't know your business. They see your face. They see your name. They get to know you. You have to be that brand. You
Mhm.
have to make sure you stand out. You have to be that person. I know it's hard, especially when you're working for a company and you want to not outshine the master, so to speak, but make sure the master knows who you are. You know what I'm saying? Make sure the CEOs and the C-level executives and everyone in that building that can shake and move and make things happen know who you are. Make them know your name. It doesn't matter what level you're on. It doesn't matter if you're, just on an entry level or, you're C level. It doesn't matter. Make sure they know your name. You'll always be remembered. I mean, you just think about it. If you go to the car wash and the person that washes your car does a great job, when you go back to that car wash, you're looking for that same person
Of course.
because you were moved by that same person. Or if you go to a store and a person sells you something, you're moved by that person the way they sell to you. You know what I'm saying? So you come back looking for them. So make that impression. Be the CEO of your life. That's it. And look at it like that always. Get up in the morning because you're the CEO of you. You know what I'm saying? Put that outfit on because you are the CEO. You're representing you, and no one else can represent you but you.
And that reputation is going to follow you forever. I mean, different jobs you end up doing, different people you end up working. You really have ownership over your own name.
Yes.
So what you do with it. So I think that's very powerful.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah. So now, Tasha, my last question for you, just thinking full circle, when you were in your 20s, some personal habits that you developed that you still use today. So I know a lot of times we take these classes or we develop these habits or skills, and we're really questioning, are we going to end up using these during our entire career or in the future still? So I'd love to hear from you. What were some things that you developed in your 20s that you can say confidently to this day you still use?
I get up early in the morning.
Mm.
Like I don't sleep in. Growing up in my house, I don't think even as a child, I probably slept past 8:30. Like I
Wow.
always got up super early in the morning. And usually I took out, even if everyone else wasn't woke, I took out that time for like me time,
Mhm.
whether I'm taking a walk or just laying in my bed watching TV or whatever. But I just couldn't sleep past 8:30. Like I don't know why. It's just been easier for me to just get up and do things. And I think that's probably when I think creatively
Mhm.
because no one else is in my space. So a lot of times, a lot of my creative friends are late night people. They'll go to the studio later. They'll be writing later. They'll be ringing my phone late. And I'm like, I'm asleep. I go to bed early and I wake up early. Like that's just something that I do. And I've been doing it since I was a little kid.
Love that. I think that's a really important skill to have. Love to hear that that's been a long-term skill as well. Something that I also credit myself with. I love waking up early because, I feel like there's so many times of the day where it has to be a lot of times for other people. You're doing
Yeah.
a job or a task or you're working for someone else. It's always great to take advantage of that me time. So either it's wake up really early or have some time, of course, at the end of the day, whether you're going to the studio or doing something like that. So I think that is very powerful.
Yeah, definitely get that sleep, but get up early. When you're laying there and you just, sometimes some people do this like around 3 or 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. You wake up, you may get up, go to the bathroom or something, and you can't get back to sleep. Sometimes that's when you're supposed to be up thinking. You're supposed
Hmm.
to be up creating. That's when, maybe um the next person in line isn't up thinking, and that's where you get ahead of them. I
Hmm.
remember even being around Floyd the boxer, and he'd want to get up and train in the middle of the night. He says, well, we'll sleep when we're dead, and the entourage is like, oh, we got to go to the gym. But I mean, look at the sacrifices he made to be so great. He's no one's outboxing him at this particular point. You know what I'm saying? So how do you outthink, outdo yourself? You have to compete with yourself and be the best that you can. And I just really feel like getting up early was my thing.
The only person that's going to tell you no or you can't do something is you. So I think
Right.
you're
Exactly.
boxing with yourself. I think that's a
Exactly.
beautiful metaphor.
Absolutely.
Well, Tasha, this was a pleasure. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this interview, just hearing about your personal journey and just general advice for 20 somethings in a time when there's so much uncertainty. A lot of people have questions about their careers and futures. It's really reassuring to have people like you that have wonderful stories and are able to share those to people.
Well, I have to say, I have a 25-year-old daughter and I have a 17-year-old son. So as as I can't forget my 20s, especially right now.
Yeah.
I have to always remember what was I thinking, what was I going through at those ages, so then I can stay connected to them, and then with my son approaching his 20s, the same. Like I want to just make sure that I'm connected and not disconnected. And I don't always want to put my ways on them, even though I survived my life
Yeah.
in those years in the 20s. They still have to survive their life in this time in their 20s. So definitely staying connected. I always tell, my mentees, you guys always find someone younger because they're going to teach you, they're going
100%.
to teach you. And
Yeah.
I was a 20-year-old that was teaching my elders, and they look at me now like, okay, they all come to me and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. We might have to ask my daughter about that.
100%. A lot of people think wisdom just comes from age, but I think wisdom really comes from experience. And especially, I know you said this earlier, and I really love this. I may think I know so much more than someone that's currently 16, but I don't really know what it is like to be a 16-year-old in 2021. So I think we can learn from so many people. And if you happen to know anybody, including your children, that are looking for a virtual mentor, you should share with them this podcast in their 20s. Because of course, we're looking to just scale the best advice from the best people. And you're one of those people, Tasha. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Landon. You have a wonderful day. And I love what you guys are doing in your 20s. That's great.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.